Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's keynote lecture, the second of the spring semester, where we invite practitioners who are at the forefront of design practice to speak on their current work. It's a pleasure to have ZhuPei, founder of his Euphemist studio in Beijing, which was founded in 2005. And from there, he has produced an extraordinary corpus of cultural works that have made him one of the leading figures of his generation. He's the current dean of the Central Academy of Fine Arts School of Architecture in Beijing. His work has been exhibited at, world-renowned museums such as the Museum of Modern Art, the Centre Pompidou, the Victoria and Albert, amongst others. And in addition, his work has been collected by also the Pompidou and MoMA and M+, among other things. Well, at any rate, it is a pleasure to have him here today on the eve of basically having opened a new exhibition of his work at the ADIS Gallery in Berlin. So I'm very thankful that we're able to have you here today. Thank you.
Good. Hello, everyone. It's such a great honor to be the great school to give us some talk. Thank you, the Solomon, to introduce me. Is very, it's precisely, and also our visiting professor, the Peter, Stephen Peterman, Jesse, and my college, including our studio from Central Academy. My topic today is root and innovation. This lecture is going to focus on the few recent projects to represent my design philosophy, architecture of nature, and also I try to generate the roots and the innovation propositions from those projects to explain how my philosophy get translate across the different nature and the cultural background in China. The exhibition recent Architecture from China and MoMA 2021 is so significant for contemporary Chinese architecture. The exhibition discovered the younger generation of Chinese architects were trying very hard to find a new way to approach contemporary architecture with rich cultural and material tradition of China. My solo exhibition in ADIS just opened 1 week ago. It's more like, it's not try to show the project, what I have done, but I actually really want to review the idea behind, which is, I mentioned my design philosophy or theory, architecture of nature. So once we, maybe I just very quick to talking about the architecture of nature, which is 2 keywords. Rootness and innovation. Maybe I would like also to quote Heidegger's view. The history is the start point today cannot escape. It is not just past error, but it's essence of still hiding in today's world. For me, I strongly believe if architectural work do not have the rootness or historical consciousness, it is equivalent to having no fulcrum in the universe, unable to pre-open existing architectural ideological system and unable to be creative. 5 points for the architecture of nature: setting poster, structure and form, sponge architecture, cave and nest, the incomplete integrity. Incomplete integrity, precisely this incompleteness constitute a deeper level of integrity in large system and broad context. I believe this above 5 point for the architectural nature, not from the perspective of construction and the technology, but from cultural point of view, to review the consanguinity between traditional culture and the contemporary architecture innovation. First project I really want to talking about, just realized a few years ago in very important porcelain city in China, Imperial Q Museum in Jiangxi province. The Jingdezhen used to be porcelain capital in the world. During the Ming-Qing dynasty, export huge amount of porcelain into the Europe. You know, even in Delft, if you go to the museum, porcelain is the majority, the blue and white, or even like a green porcelain, almost most of it came from the city, the Jingdezhen. And Star Ming dynasty, they became the imperial factory. They made porcelain specifically for the emperor, you know, the city. But this city is really growing by naturally because of the porcelain industry. The city start from actually is really bottom south, called Sanbao, during the Song dynasty, 1,000 years ago. The early the Chinese porcelain actually went back such a period. And then in the middle, you're going to see the Luoma Qiao is Yuan dynasty. This Luoma Qiao area produced the porcelain, you know, like most of like the, you know, blue and white porcelain. Probably if you saw a lot of, you know, it's more identity or, you know, like a Chinese porcelain. It doesn't matter in British Museum or Metropolitan Museum. A lot of porcelain is more like this Yuan dynasty. And then later on, during the Ming-Qing dynasty, you can see the this part is you know, they start to produce not only blue and white, but also they start to into the more multicolor. So I think this is you can tell the achievement or how they develop their industrial based on the nature. This river is used to be one west boundary of the city. And the city start from south, north, and then north again. So they always along this the Chang River. Actually, beyond left side, you know, even 20 years ago, nothing here. Only the forest and the hill, river, creek. This is their, you know, pretty much the nature-dominated tradition. The reason they come to here because they have very special soil, and so people migrate from far away, come to here just to build a brick kiln, making the porcelain. This is their whole life. The red star is the location of our project. If you look at carefully about this urban fabric, small alley, they not only connect people from their workshop, kiln to the Chang River, but also this is give you certain sense about how people survive under the extremely hot, humid, the climate condition. The roof overhang, the small alley going to create shade during the summer, protect from the rain. Once you through this small alley, go into their housing, it's very special. This is like a vertical, very tall housing, like a the 3-story high, but the courtyard is not flat. Courtyard more like a vertical chimney, the tap. So they create, like a chimney effect to deal with human heart, the weather. But a small alley more like the wind tunnel. Even summer, when you walk into this small alley, you can still feel the wind to attach your body. So this gave us a lot of inspiration about how you make, through this nature tradition to get some idea. So this is a typical, I call the seal of the city. Brick kiln, workshop. You can see workshop here, but they also build housing adjacent, which is they more like form the whole city. The whole city just built based on this complex. And then you see, when I work on this design, I'm wandering in the old town, but I found out craftsmen, they rebuilt the brick kiln. The reason why they frequently to build this kiln because this is a brick, very thin shell. They only can survive maybe maximum 1 year. You have to demolish things. This brick going to lose the criteria for the temperature or thermal the criteria, and then when you see Saudi how they built this organic kind of a vault, but you can see the bottom is like a base, very rough, a thicker sized brick, and then above the brick turned to vertically. It's very thin, very small, but very light. Things when they built this the brick vault, they not use scaffolding. They rather rely on the material, take advantage from the gravity. This film, actually, this is I talk. So if you look at how they control, how to they making this masonry, right? They use finger to control the curvature. Each horizontal cut, actually one brick layer is one, horizontal section. You can see carefully, right? So they use very light, very thin, very small, the brick to making the like eggs shape as a shell, because they rely on the gravity, they rely on the material. But if you think about it today, when we work on the digital, the design to deal with such complicated like a double curving or form, but we always cutting through the section, right, to transform the three-dimensional the curvature into the two-dimensional. This is how we approach the complicated form, the way how we approach today. But this is have some common sense when the old, very traditional kiln, the craftsmen also use similar idea. Another phenomenon is quite important for the local. It's things brick kiln has to be demolished very frequently, lot of broken brick. So local people use this brick to recycle them, to rebuild housing almost everywhere. So this is their tradition. This is a site, you can see adjacent green part. The green part is imperial kiln, the relic side, the current. There used to be a lot of, like workshop, but right now almost nothing above ground. And then this adjacent used to be fire station, but they relocated. We're going to be built this the kiln museum. But to look at the surrounding, it's such complicated urban fabric from the traditional housing mixed with kiln complex, and also there are a lot of factory after in 1949. They built maybe 10 more huge factory, and then also social housing. It's more typical the early 90s housing surrounding this area. You feel this is whole cities, became to the based on the different period of time. This is after we built this museum. The people going to wondering why we, this is like first of all, the material character, form character, but you can feel, strongly feel architecture of nature. I mentioned 5 points, right? The sitting poster, the facing south, catch up the sun, and then, against west sun. You also feel the incomplete integrity. If you look at this, the form of the architecture, how they integrate with, use their incomplete form to integrate dialogue with surrounding. And not only the physical form, but you also bring the light in, leave the lot of space. For example, you can feel the cave and the nest, right? Some space much more enclosed, sometimes it's really open, structure and form. You can feel. The whole vault structure is not to try to build the beam, column, and then top above the arch. Actually, this whole structure, form is the architecture form. So that definitely showing strongly the sponge architecture, and not only the porosity character, but also this showing the potential for the program. So, but today's topic, like route, right? The one route I consider why I choose this architecture form or material decision making, actually this is more cultural. The kiln complex, not only for the making porcelain, but also most of the time they became to their social involvement. I feel that the kiln, the break, things, if you think about where's the porcelain come from, I think the brick kiln, right? And then porcelain come from here, people daily working in and out from the kiln. So I feel this is have a strongly consanguinity between human being, architecture form, and the contents program. So this is the reason this museum eager to recreate the similar experience, but based on the contemporary idea. So this is I call the cultural route, climate route. Again, right? It's horizontal, venturnal, and the vertical chimney effect. They formed quite a three-dimensional sustainable idea, which is maybe is not try to isolate, use a lot of insulation material. This building, this museum try to more dialogue, more exchange with nature in order to we can make comfortable, doesn't matter in winter or summer. One of the very proud of for this the project, I really proud about that. After we built 10,000 square meters museum, we never use air conditioning in summer. I think this is can be, give a lot of, rethink about the tradition. They also have a contemporary idea hiding, we used to consider this as very old, the city or architecture. And then we see the style or design process. It's a lot of model making. But this model is strongly represent how we work during the design process. I'm not encouraging my team to use 3D print rather than use handmade model. Why? Because, for this specific design, it's so complicated. You feel the challenge, right? You feel this architecture, if you really can realize things, each vault have a different curvature, different size. But even for each individual, they have maybe bigger, small, always change the curvature. How do you do that? So I strongly believe architecture, not sculpture. We cannot just rely on the modern technology, to challenge. I think that's not smart. That's also not nature of the architecture. Architecture is supposed to be based on the geometry, based on the system, simple, easy to build. But this model gave a lot of confidence. If you look at detail, horizontal cut, that's allows you to think about when the craftsmen, how they build this complicated the brick kiln. So that gave us idea how we can build complicated, such complicated architecture based on the very simple the construction process. Once again, we're doing many different scale, the physical model. This is the reason, sometimes the computer just really pleased architects, right? When you see the computer, actually maybe in reality this space is so dark, but they give you, comfortable lighting adjustment, right? Or maybe too bright, but after you build, you're going to maybe facing the disaster, too dark or too bright. But a computer always let you feel so comfortable. So we have to rely on the more physical, the method, like model, I think, is really a good way. But a computer, the digital design process, this is this area we have to really rely on. But we have to really somehow to consider them tools rather than they driving everything. So many model is going to be during the design process, but except this one. This is not our design model. This is we try to translate the architecture model in the piece of art. Currently, this model was clicked by the MoMA. Things the whole model making, the process, like what we create this the architecture. So this site plan, you can see their strong orientation to dialogue, different urban fabric, and the construction style, and then a lot of recycled brick. You can see this brick became to really broken piece, really small. You have to use the new brick mixed with this older brick. So this is pretty much when we're doing the construction. This how you can see the different brick they mix together, the old one, new one, and then even new one you can tell the lot of this brick they contain lot of trash from their personally making, like a pottery case. They contain the porcelain during the burning the porcelain. And then you can see after became to the mesh, we became to the one of the material for those brick. And then this is important scaffolding we invent. Things we need to think about how we create such variation, size or curvature change. Scaffolding we invent is sitting on the one track. They can move in from this way to another way. We just use very soft the wood form to use the scaffolding to adjust. This scaffolding can be adjusted, and then we can control this curvature for this very soft wood, the form. So, and then we can piece by piece, like the starting model we did, eventually the curvature going to be changed, and along the construction. And then this is after, we built. This whole building somehow was laying prone in the ground, right? Rather than really monumental. Very low, very humble, modest to dialogue with a factory and historical housing. And then once you walk on the gravel floor, they produce the sound, and also you can listen. This reflecting waterfall, they have a lot of water, sound, and then to make huge contrast, very rough, brick vault, contrast with peaceful, the water, and also beyond the factory. When you close up, you're going to see the lot of the material variation, right? You also feel when you walk along this waterfall, you see beyond bamboo. This is giving you a sense of Jiangxi area. If you go to the suburbia Jingdezhen, you always listen, you always heard the crack sound, but you never saw the river or creek, but you saw the bamboo. Bamboo also produced the sound. And then this water is also represent kind of a poetic, the way you see the stone underneath, right? This stone more like the group of a fish, they underneath the water, but only few, the stone back pop out above the water. This not only give you some artistic the feeling, but it also give you a lot of imagination. Like Chinese very earlier philosophy, they consider the universe is composed by water and the three islands. But this kind of a, modest way, they gave you some guiding the people how to flow into the museum. But it's not, you feel really solid brick vault against the people. Actually, they feel, you can feel the, welcoming people going to wandering, follow the, the water gesture, you flow into the museum from outside. And then this is, you're also showing strong, the tectonic, the character, concrete, the beam and the column to how they, really make this horizontal, the window things, the cube, or the vault is supposed to from the bottom to the top, right? When you're cutting this, you have to find some concrete the way, but they turn to quite poetic. You can have a sense of imagination, about this old brick, and then always have the space in between, interior or exterior. This is not totally like strong object. They will come in, flow in. You form all side, exterior space, flow into the foyer, which is the interior space. And then once again, the difference, this foyer gives you strong gesture. It's not rely on the sun. When you walk in, big arch, you're going to follow more lighting, natural light. You're going to start your journey more like a major permanent circulation. And then you go to right side. You're going to secondary arch, going to bring you into the bookstore and the tea house beyond. If you continue go another way, which is the smaller arch actually connect this linear vault, which bring you to the auditorium room. I think architecture, you have to be certain difference gesture, right? The people walk in, they know where they are. They have to figure out how they're going to, freedom flow into the major circulation. Definitely, you also create kind of a mystery. You feel, okay, this is the museum, but I saw few vault in beyond. And then you start to explore, more. You start your journey. And then from interior, go to the in-between, right? This is like open vault. This is not 100% interior, but they work with the ruin side. This ruin side is quite a surprise for us after we start construction. When they breaking the ground, we found out some ruin. And then we try to integrate this relic into this museum. And then that can give this museum much, much strong, the idea to really integrate this Pacific side. The closed door side, this open arch underneath is amphitheater, and then beyond is actually one of the gallery. But just to be remembered that this is a porcelain museum, a ceramic museum. It's not an art museum, painting. You have to really care about humanity, but here, doesn't matter. Once you go down to close to the ruin, you also can see beyond. See, another courtyard, and then see downstairs, which is more, major space for the exhibition, the part of the exhibition circulation. And then when you from the different angle, you can see how rich in terms of space and also level change, right? This is interior level, and then you go to the Ming Dynasty ruins, urban city level, and then you can continue go down to the another, the courtyard actually is in the lower level. Once again, you form the half, outdoor, indoor space go into the another interior space. But this is quite a difference with foyer, right? Because they're much smaller, much lower, and then they carefully work for this object, transparent glass. And then you're going to turn this concrete subtle stair, flow down to the basement level. And then when you go down, you're not facing against the wall. It's very nice, very light, the sunken courtyard. And then people going to flow down to see follow this courtyard. You can hang out outside, you can smoke, you can, have some break. But at the same moment, you're going to see a lot of museum people work inside their working space. That's be part of this permanent exhibition circulation. And then when you see the transparent glass, they never really attach the wall, right? They also not perpendicular things. This interior space more like a fish belly. And then configuration for this glass, more like a fish bone. I think once again, this is exactly what I really emphasize, consanguinity between the contents, architecture form, and human being. You can see the very intimate, the more like people's work in the cube to see the porcelain. This is the reason I always ask where porcelain come from. Porcelain not come from the natural side. They must be come from the artificial, the facility. Things people create a kiln, just want to increase temperature. Porcelain need 1,300 degrees, so you have to, in the natural, there's no such high temperature. And also the porcelain needs, not like a painting, we see the one way, but you need to look at 300 degree, right? You need to walk around, and then you can see the bottom, you can see the top. So even this, like a table, this everything transparent. This is not designed by, somebody else. Everything designed by our studio. Architects actually doing many things. This is once again, you go into another courtyard, but you can see upstairs, tea house, right? Covered, and then interior. You're crossing this little courtyard into the different program. And then this is the end of a major circulation, permanent circulation. One way you can see the beyond. For example, you can see the end is like the courtyard. We have a lot of like a foundation was excavated during the construction. And then once you go back, you see the stair. You start wondering where I'm going to go. If you look at this atrium, this is the only big atrium in this museum, located in the end of the circulation. You're going to see where you start from. And then stair never show the whole stair thing. You only see half. And then you create a kind of a mystery. You saw the door, you saw the light, but you don't know what is beyond. And then that's going to attract you to climbing up the stair. You see this mystery, right? It's natural light, brush on this wall. People going to use hand to attach things. You have a lot of recycle the break that's content, the timeless, the memories. Architecture, not only visual art, right? It's more like associates, different light, attaching, even smiling, and so on. So once you're climbing up, you're back where you start, the foyer, and then you're going to see the little atrium from the lecture hall. And then once you walk in, you see this whole vault covered one like today, right? It's more like a chapel of the academic. People gathering here, you can join the symposium at the same moment. If you, for example, today, maybe I'm talk very boring, right? And at least you can see some like this window. You can see through that horizontal cut. I mentioned here, is beyond going to be water reflecting pole, and also beyond is the ruin side. This is a tea house. So once you concentrate, like bookstore, you're going to, the wall going to block your eye, and then somehow to invoke, you sit down. You sit down, you see through. You use this water to reflect in the sky. You see through, see beyond, ruin side. Things ruin always talking about the underneath earth, right? So this horizon became quite interesting. When you drink the tea, use, Jingdezhen porcelain, and then you pretty much enjoy this heritage. This picture showing the strong character for how this, the architecture, based on the system, how they ventilate, right? How they transparency. Even some wood door, wood window, they can operate, open, and then one can be concentrated. If you recall, in general, overall, the building, they somehow not only parallel layout each vault, they more like, assignment, kind of, they have slightly angle to dialogue surrounding to create a tension between each the break of vault. So maybe I talk a little bit more detail about this project. I really want to like people to share what is the idea behind. The second project is what we work on now. This project actually just started last October. The first project talking about porcelain. This is talking about 4000 BC, more like a new Stone Age pottery. This project located in Majiayao is Gansu province, Lintao. This ruin site settlement was discovered by the Swedish archaeologist John Anderson in 1924. Actually, he was traveling along the Yellow River to go, much more up reach, and then he found out a lot of print, pottery. So he realized must be have a civilization here, along with a lot of excavated, so many pottery, and then this is considered early Chinese civilization called Majiayao culture. This is what we show. Very difference with Jingdezhen, right? Jingdezhen is human heart and rock, water. But here is much more dry. Soil, yellow clay, your Lewis Plateau, northwest part, kind of a boundary of the desert. But this is a geography character giving you, sense of how local architecture is supposed to be. The clay is, you can now based on the, like a stone to masonry, right? You're more like a carved out, more like a cave in this Pacific side. So this is three. You can see the ruin, right? This is ruin museum, just adjacent this heritage. And then top of the hill, we're going to create observatory for the people, take a break, more information center. So this ruin museum and observatory crossing the canyon. This is a typical canyon, always perpendicular with yellow, actually it's a Lintao River, beyond, more like a Yellow River in the other side. So this is you can see this is more like a whole nature was somehow made by nature. This is a canyon, typical water going to flow into the Tao River. And then this is our museum, observatory here. So this section showing the relationship, the ruin museum and the observatory. This is early my sketch to show how I think about this observatory is supposed to be. Just to, take advantage from the plasticity of this soil, just making one horizontal cut, more like sketching, on the earth, but the top view pavilion is indicate like a new stone age, how people making, sunken and then make a shelter from themselves. So this, the model showing the more, the almost like complete or design is a horizontal cut hiding inside this earth, maybe few hole going to concentrate. But we try to use very special construction the way, for example, this soil is so soft, so weak. We have to carve out on the top in order to protect the boundary of the landscape. And then we're going to use maybe making the cave to carve it out through the three sides. One is horizontal cut, the few hole is here, and then the other side. So this is going to be very challenging, more like we're making the tunnel, right? It's not normally we build the building, but you can feel the sense how big for our model, right? Our designer here, but you can see this is we normally build model based on the different scale, along with the design process, experimental design process. This is for museum, early sketch, but you can see the few things, cave and the nest. Local has a lot of cave, but I strongly believe this is a cave and the nest is a prototype of earlier human the construction culture. But I really try to use here to create a sustainable idea. Cave always stay, right? It's very stable in terms of climate change or temperature change, but the nest so sensitive. They catch up light, temperature, and then doesn't matter winter or summer, they can really to balance each other. I think this is a really passive, intelligent, the sustainable idea. And I think another, the architecture, the idea, which is, I always ask, where does the pottery come from? The pottery must be come from nature. Very different personally, I mentioned before. Things that you can imagine, this yellow clay, thunderstorm, fire, and then people realize the floor going to be frozen, right? It's like a heart. So you feel that's going to be piece of the pottery is laying prone into the depression of the side. They somehow also humble or modest, sunken into the depression side. So this is, you can see, the piece of pottery going to against north wind, local wind a lot. And then facing south, going to have more like, structure beam with a shade wall together. And then one idea is for this museum, also try to recreate a sense of experience how people to making their pottery. They must be go down to the water, the river to climb the water. They climbing on the hill, more like a zigzag. Whole museum, just one run. Carry from the front plaza, go in like a zigzag shape, go inside the gallery, and then they crossing this atrium. You can see this ramp, continue, go down, you see, and then go up. Even between this shell, two wall, hiding some ramp behind. And then people can, to walk through the museum without interrupt by the, the opaque, the space. You always can see the beyond, always can see the sense, about local large cave on the cliff. So maybe a lot of people maybe go to the north part of China, like Dunhuang or this area, going to a lot of cave on the mountain. This is their prototype for their housing. So this is we do not in Shandong province. This is more neutral condition. This the art center built mid of nowhere. You can see the surrounding, very organic, typical commercial real estate development. But so this is a building. It's going to we test how concrete. We can push the concrete, both tension and compression, into the limit. So this is like a tent structure, like a pinwheel to represent how local masonry and wood roof structure. So this is like a pinwheel, the roof formed a central courtyard. This is very typical, local the housing. And so this is more like an early the type of the school in Chinese. It's just a central courtyard, the few tree, people sitting underneath the tree to professor, dialogue, either classroom or in the central the courtyard. So you can get a sense about how this concrete tent to create the tension between the floor and the ceiling, give the people sense, concrete not only can be, have the character for to be the compressed the roof, but also they can also have the character, tension. So this is a shear wall to shear wall, to pull this the tent. They also gave you sense of about large traditional Chinese the roof, right? You can see this sunken courtyard, the roof with shear wall, the masonry beyond the window, and then you also can see how people interpret the architecture into the like furniture. This window, you see the curved roof, you see the masonry stone wall. It's strongly, interpret traditional character into the contemporary. Once again, we back to Jingdezhen, but it's not a historical center area. We was invited to design international conference center, and then we convert, into the conference camp things. I do believe the conference room not only black box, but also they need somehow associates with nature. Local, you can see this side condition. If you're traveling in Jiangxi, take the train, you always see the beautiful village settlement. They always, very freedom, peace, very simple. The square little building, like a village building, they somehow to group by their, maybe their farming, the working daily, how they, work from the mountain to the farmland. And then this building, we try to fully cooperate what is the existing condition. This valley used to be the driving, like driving school. They already make a platform in the bottom valley, and also they cutting the few, piece of bottom the hill. So we are somehow to not try to make a grand the conference center instead of a fragment form, right? It's you can see this form is going to bigger, small, thus rely on what's the space, existing space. This also indicates some like the countryside settlement. Another idea thinks this project is so quick. When we work on the concept, they start to break on the ground. We really hard to catch up their, the speed. So we think about maybe we have to find a smart way. Just use one structure, which is 2 shade wall, 1 beam, right? 1 roof. This roof is beam is roof. Just one structure we use, doesn't matter this beam upside down or like arch or they going to downward, but you can see whole building just based on this module 111. They start to easily to deal with complicated, like for example like a slope. This is a model we made. For example, how this architecture you can see the enrichment. Even they just one, structure idea, but they just repeat frequently in terms of, what you need, how much light you need, how much roof overhang you need. This is from the one way, little bit higher hill, to look through the whole valley. This has become to more like a camp rather than big building. This image is strongly showing, very clear, showing the structure module, right? This one structure, another one. They climbing up the mountain. In between, create a lot of opportunity. For example, light, can be go inside between 2 structure, unit structure. And then side, you can see we use a different shade wall to reflecting the sun angle. How you block sun, but you at the same moment, you also can bring the soft, lighter in. This local I mentioned before is very humid, and then we create a lot of space in between. A lot of overhang. You can see the people can stay on the terrace, underneath the roof, climbing the stair, but you have huge roof overhead. They not only create shade, protect of the rain, they provide a lot of opportunity to like people to think about what is revolutionary idea for the meeting room, right? It's we encourage the people can be feel the lighting change, climate, the daylight, nightlight, and so on. So this is you can see even for this hotel, we just use no column free whole design, just more like a roof and shade wall, the canopy, and so on. You can see this is almost you can hunting or walking, wandering inside this building. You can have a small casual meeting outside of a conference room, but underneath the roof, protect from the rain. Local rain a lot, definitely very human. For example, like this space, you'll be part of, the meeting place. But at the same moment, like in complete integrity, I mentioned, actually people can be interpret how we use this building. Not only, we're doing very precisely programmed to each architecture. We want to leave some, character of incomplete, and then people going to interpret how I use, like different generation, they have different sense to use this architecture. So this is like a central landscape, always have some space like that. And then the mezzanine level, lower level. So you always can be dialogue. Once you have the shade, and then you go into the atrium, more like a foyer lobby for the conference. And then you have a different conference room. They have different composition for the material identity. And then you walk in, you can see the light, right? But this light can be 100% controlled. You can block. The folding wall can be totally enclosed, but you can, most of the time, you also can interpret into the more transparent condition. This is like a mid-size of the conference. Not only skylight, but also you through the, upper window. But very functional, people sitting here have the meeting, but at the same moment, you can see beyond how we, how we carefully deal with the landscape. For example, this building can tell you, basically, this building untouched with the existing landscape and the condition. And then difference, we have so many, alternative with the conference. And then people feel the real change. You have big one, small one, the different shape, rather than everything just in the cubic space or inside the black box. This is also people can walk out. You have a bridge connect to you to the mountain, and then next one is in Anhui province. It's more like a central south of China. Local have a very famous the housing, which is a courtyard, vertical. I call the vertical courtyard house in Anhui province. And then this building also built like a 2 kilometer southeast part of Old Town. This is the Old Town. You can see the moat surrounding this town. This town almost 2,000 years. Even start from the almost like a Qin Han dynasty. And you can see this is a typical the Chinese Asian early, historical town surrounding with moat, inside very, based on the grade, but the landscape always to bring into the sun. You feel inside the city, you feel this kind of a square, the town, but you need somehow to go inside. Once you go inside, you're going to see a lot of like this vertical housing. And people, consider this courtyard not only the courtyard for light, for rain, but also the gathering here. They more like a living room, the outdoor, the solid wall, against outside a small window, courtyard, and then small alley. I think this is the more like their typology. And then this building, since no Pacific, the strong, the fabric, and then we try to create more inward, for example, courtyard series. And then you have a snake shape, more like the stair and the ramp, public corridor. Most of the part going to have the cover, protect rain, sun, but the people can climbing up, go to the front, the courtyard, and then also can climbing up into the different program. For this cultural center, they have art museum, library, archive, and a small theater, cultural center, and so on. But this loop is three-dimensional. You can hang on wandering, almost half day without interrupt interior program. But definitely you can, very quick go inside, but you also can hang on. This is more like an inward condition. You can see the courtyard in different shape, different scale, different size. Even this is a very complicated composition for the courtyard building, but you still can have a sense of orientation and identity, right? Thinks this is doesn't matter where you are, you still can have sense about where you're going to wandering. So this is like a small piece of a bridge represent their old town surrounding by the moat. And then once you crossing this bridge, you can go to the central courtyard. But this is kind of a rough concrete. You can feel maybe more like their old town. This is a central courtyard, multi-layer. And then you start from here. You can see the and you can climbing up, right? This is another stair. You also can, start the journey inside this complex. And then between this wall, we have a terrace, balcony, and also people you can see continue to running around. This is in the level 2. You can see that this is a back garden. It's the opening dialogue with a stair angle to showing, more like a garden sense of, space. This is a typical the corridor. You see half roof, and then you start to go to the next level from here in the middle, and then this ramp, this loop continue bring you up. You see many level. But you can, see through, for example, this big cave, people getting this level, and then they can go to another level, and then you continue. So you feel the richness of this space, but never exactly same repeat. This is from outside. You can see the more like I call the, kind of inward. The material, the strong character as well. So this is the last one. And this built in Yunnan, Dali, very far southwest part of China. Dali is like a huge valley with farmland and the lake. This mountain is more than almost 4,000 meters high. And local is a minority. This performance art center designed for the very well-known Chinese dancer Yang Liping, who spent most of her life to rediscover the local music and the dancing art. But for this region, people so happy, they pretty much, like outdoor life. They singing, dancing in the farmland or inside the mountain or when they fishing. Very interesting, the movie talking about, the girl, boy, how they dating each other. They through the singing and so much romantic, lovely city here. But you also can feel very strong dominated by nature, the mountain. Even local construction, the culture, they not try to go very Pacific. The building never perpendicular. And then a lot of rock mountain, nearby. So everything is so organic, but only one line, which is mountain meet lake, which is one horizontal line. For this design, we just try to catch up to this one horizontal line, dividing above, the roof above, roof underneath, the yin-yang, cave, and the nest. So this performance center is not just one theater, but actually is one amphitheater working with one theater together. More like a cave. And the next idea, you can see this is our final model. You can see amphitheater on the left, right side is more like a theater. But sometimes this both theater can really working together. The sliding door open, the two theater can become to one. And then her performance is going to start from this landscape hill, following down to the little bit of earth, and then climbing up to the amphitheater, and then flow inside the theater, and then come back. So more like a three-dimensional, try to catch up the local performance, focal art. Can also local have a lot of tree house. We use the vertical cubic to bring people up and down. So inside is tea house, bookstore, cafe. But this is you can see the beyond amphitheater and also above roof. This showing the two theater how they working together, the amphitheater and the theater. And then this is after built. You can see the beyond Changshan Mountain, and then look at this way, it's a huge lake local people call the ocean. And then people can, can be more like a meeting place rather than just the interior, the theater. So the material decision making also strongly catch up the local, the material construction sense. Like this ceiling, we use like a 4-rod, piece of rod to form triangle, and then we're going to form the whole ceiling. You feel very complicated, but actually very easy, more like a brick, right? Just one module, just repeat. The wood ceiling, just one size. The three-dimensional, like a triangle. And then you can climb up. The roof, the material is local, like a sandstone. It's more like a broken. We show the character or texture of the, this material, the character. So people can sitting there, can climbing up, can drink tea, see, beyond. So this is somehow you can feel this much more open rather than previous few project. Things we feel this is the nature. This is a local love outdoor. So we create a place. It's not only the theater, more like a social meeting place. Since this location in outside between the Erhai and their old town, more like a midway. People can hang here to have a cup of tea, to see the movie performance, more even for the daytime or nighttime. And then you also can see the one, the building is quite linear along the mountain. Things the wind always hide, from this way. And then horizontal, more open, we try to catch up. Very soft wind from the lake, ocean. So through this project, maybe like 6 projects, is shown on the ADAS. And not just, you can see they're located in the different nature, but architecture also showing more different diversity, form, material, decision making, but this strongly, the share one idea, which is the architecture nature. I mentioned rootedness and the innovation. Create, tension between the tradition and the innovation. And then they give you feel, okay, this is an architecture no longer, like very old or is severe, right? Only driven by the technology without any, cultural sense. But I think this is like Ada's show is pretty much strongly want to point out what we can approach contemporary architecture rather than we showing what we have done. So this is the end of my talk. Thank you, everybody, spend time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the lecture. We would like to open it up for some questions from the audience.
Well, thank you for your lecture. I wanted to start with a question from the first project that really got me thinking while seeing all the process and the pictures and the incredible result. It was the only one where I saw that you did a lot of experimentation with the structural part of the architecture, because this traditional way of building became, at the end of the day, the architecture. And I wanted to ask you, how was this process with the structural part of the team, and how did this structural experimentation with the method was a challenge time-wise, and how did it change the initial ambition to the final project?
I'm not sure if I totally understood your question, but at least I can try. Okay. Things you mentioned in the probably your question is a question about in the beginning the thinking of architects, right? How they proceed, how much difference from your first idea to the complete. I think for the difference, the project have a different scenario. I think this is overall design is more dynamic. You cannot just stay, okay, I want this, I never change. Probably this is not the smart way. For example, like first project, the Brick Museum, right? When we, after start construction, we found out the ruin, right? We have to cooperate. And then that's also, in the beginning, we have much bigger size compared to this realized one. And then we realized some historical housing we have to be really protect. And then this, you have to really based on the dynamic design process. But definitely for the Imperial Q Museum, in the beginning, the idea we never changed, right? We try to use a brick to, catch up the vault character, and also material decision making. And yeah, so those we never change, fortunately, but it's not every project. But like a concrete courtyard one, right? That's really changed a lot. Things, when we finished about DD, the leadership is changed. Party secretary of this county was changed. And then new leader always say, oh my God, let me think about it. Every presentation, he hesitated to say yes or no. Finally, I understood. Okay, this is a decision making by the previous leader. He want to something different because he want to, this belong to his part of achievement. And then I said, yes, okay, I give you a new one, but very quickly we're doing this one. So I think, but idea never change, right? Even the first one or second one, we still believe we can, to explore the contemporary ideas through the tradition or through the, local climate, culture, and then we create a totally new thing, contemporary thing. I think this is pretty much what we, approach or design. Idea never change, but.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, hi. Thank you very much for your talk and for guiding us through the beautiful projects. And I think it's really amazing how you show that all of these projects relate to the cultural context, this kind of locality. And I would like, in the projects we see that they are also quite different from the urban fabric that surrounds them, and they're more or less situated in a spacious plot in the city. I would like to ask, I would like to know what's your perception of your projects in its physical relationship to the surrounding context.
Actually, very strong showing this context, right? But definitely it's not to repeat. I think in creation, revolutionary, the experience is the key for the architecture. Each one you have to really making new experience for them. But if you think about this 6th project, everything based on the local, either, like a climate, the cultural tradition, and also how we create a relationship, I call the consanguinity between people, the architecture, and the program or contents. So for me, I feel this is much more important than the similarity, the form with existing fabric or context or material we use pretty much same with the surrounding. I think the idea is became to the more important, which is, for example, like a Q Museum, we catch up the experience, right? For example, I always ask myself in the beginning of the design, where's the program? Or, for example, where's the pottery come from? And then we have a certain, understanding about which way you're going to go. Like, where's porcelain come from? Porcelain come from kiln. And then I think about spatial form. We can use that in order to create this consanguinity. And then you continue to ask yourself, if this kiln is the spatial form, what's the architectural structure form is going to be the best way to achieve this spatial form? And then what's the material, decision making to really fit the structural form, and so on, so on. You have a certain logic, but it's very complicated design process when you're thinking about. You have to making some tension between what is the context you want to follow, but what is new thing you want to really create.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. And in your practice, you talk a lot and deal with traditional architecture. In that sense, I would ask you, what is the difference between architect and the craftsman, like an architect and the craftsman, and if architecture appropriates vernacular, what is left to a craftsman?
You mean I think the key maybe is artistic thinking. The craftsman work, if you really to translate them into the contemporary architecture, I think you have to base on more experimental thinking. For example, they use hand to making the kiln, right? But they making for the burning the porcelain, not for the people, not for the contemporary public space. And then you have to somehow to translate the craftsman, the knowledge or their experience into the contemporary, the construction, but based on, artistic, the thinking. So how you transform from, like craftsman into from the craftsman into the art. I think this is, I always pay a lot of attention. Just maybe through the field project, you can strongly feel this way, is somehow translation, sensitive translation from the, the traditional way, craftsman, and then into the architecture or contemporary.
But do you have a feeling that that specific kind of work and craftsmanship in general disappeared?
Can you repeat that again? Sorry?
Do you have a feeling that craftsmanship can disappear at some point, and what happens to it nowadays in China? Can you still find like good masters, I would say?
Yeah, for example, like use hand to making brick kiln, eventually it's going to be disappear. That's for sure. Things, the contemporary kiln no longer use, wood fire, use brick to making kiln. This is more like a traditional way. But eventually they must be disappear. That's for sure. But how you can carry out this kind of, I fascinate about they use hand making the kiln more like use hand making porcelain way. If we use 100% modern technology, for example, I think you can produce the products. It's not art piece. But architecture is art. I strongly believe so. And I think certain, catch up the sense of a craftsman, they want to make unique things rather than everything standardized into the industrial approach. I think this is I really want to carry on. It's not just to preserve local today. We still use, like kiln museum. No longer is a single layer of brick, right? They like sandwich, 2-layer brick. In between is concrete. I think that's the way we try to carry out. But the material here, the kiln form is going to carry out this experience into the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
No? Okay, I'm running. Not that sport, I guess.
Thanks for your lecture, and a slightly different direction of question. I was wondering, because I saw this diagram of the Imperial Kiln Museum, so it's like horizontal wind tunnels and also vertical chimney effects. And you also mentioned one of the proud thing you have for the museum is that it doesn't need air conditioning. So I was wondering, how is the air handled? Is it mechanically ventilated? Because I didn't see any air ducts in the museum, because it is still a enclosed space. So is it naturally ventilated or mechanical ventilated? How do people, feel the air?
This maybe sounds like a ventilation question, but actually it relates to my another 5 point, right? I think the prototype cave and the nest is so important for create the pressure from the wind flow. For example, once you have very, this linear road in the middle, it's quite a cave kind of the condition. They're more stable. And then along the, maybe boundary of this architecture, they're very sensitive to have the temperature. So as long as you open the window, operating a window, also the cave, you create a lot of cave there, they can I feel the wind maybe can create this kind of a flow. And the same moment, you also see both end have the window, right? It's from one way to another way. And then they concentrate more like more like air. They have a different pressure, and then they create the flow. Definitely for the spring or fall, you never to rely on this. But as long as you have window, you feel comfortable. But just summer and winter, right? We have heating, but when comes summer, for example, like always from the south to the north, and then whole building orientation opening south and north. I think that can make this architecture is more passive, sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, ZhuPei. And I was having a question about the first project you presented, and I'm lucky enough to be there in the first project to visit in person. And I think there might be a slight shame about the first project. So correct me if I'm wrong. It might be realized in brick veneer structure, right? Rather than double brick as a sort of a structure. So what's your comment on that? So is there any potentials you would like to realize the brick structure to sort of reality?
Or you can question about how do I can answer this? I think the structure, the gray architecture in history, they have one common interest, which is the artistic exploration of the structure form must be architecture form itself. I strongly believe this. So this is the reason when you saw the Cube Museum, I'm not sure, like a Kimball Museum, for example, we have beam, we have column, and then we have a top, like art. Definitely this arch is not a structure piece. I think the central was cut out. This is more like, but I would like to carry out whole the force from the basement to the top. So you can see basement level and the top level is one architecture form. But definitely it's not a pure break the art, the vault. But I feel a more important thing is how we really, the vault is a vault structure form became to the architecture form. So I strongly, to insist, not try to use double skin, to structure is one way, and then we use scan to totally change the difference of form. But I really try to, against this approach. I think the truth of the architecture is the one of the fundamental nature for the architecture.
So do you mean the actual atmosphere and the sort of a feeling of the space actually matters than sort of the use of original, like consistency of the design structure, which is actually realized or not, right? So you mean the actual atmosphere matters, like, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Solomon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.